Hello, hello, hello. My name is Bettina Lee, and I am a wellness coach as well as a yoga teacher. I'm here to assist and present information on reclaiming your power. I'm thrilled to be working with Fitness Finesse by Miss Rachel Watson. She is amazing. I believe you all have already had an opportunity to work with her last week, and remember to continue touching base and working with her each week. Let me go ahead and share my screen as we get into week two to walk in your power. Bear with me just a moment. Okay, Coach Rachel, if you could allow me to share. So while we are awaiting this sharing, just want you all to touch base and have a little reflection from last week. Whether you are allowing yourself to really drop into this session and watch each session consecutively, or if you are just touching base here and there and just and picking up the sessions as you can. Let's see how how this is working for you. So let's take a moment to just reflect on how you have been walking in your power this past week. What has been working for you? Have you had an opportunity to set your SMART goals? Remember, they should be specific, measurable, action oriented, realistic or relevant, and time bound. Now, we want you to have, an end game and a deadline to setting your goals and not just to have them go on forever. So think about what you've set so far and allow yourself to really examine just a little reflection on what you have accomplished in this week. Now, you may have taken 10 giant steps forward, or you may have taken 10 baby steps back. Wherever you are in your health and wellness journey, it's perfectly fine. Wherever you are is meant to be right here, right now. Because you know what? You're showing up for yourself. You're showing up for yourself by logging into week two. You're showing up for yourself by logging in and really holding yourself accountable and learning and growing as we continue to move through this wellness journey together.
Come in. Well, let me show. It's not. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Allow.
Believe we are back in effect. And let's go ahead and share. And here we go. We are reclaiming our power. We are in week two of reclaiming our power. Okay. Bear with us with the technical difficulties. All right. Hopefully you all can see the presentation view. Okay. So this week, week 2, we are discussing prioritizing your self-care. So self-care is not selfish. It's essential. It is absolutely essential. How many of us take time for ourselves? And then what does that look like? All right. So I already touched base with you on acknowledging your efforts and your accomplishments through the first week. So let's go ahead and just reading the notes. Okay. Thank you. All right. So now can you just see the PowerPoint? Okay. All right, great. So yeah, so let's go ahead and really jump into this. Week 2, we are discussing prioritizing our self-care, making sure that we take time for ourselves, making sure that we put ourselves first, but not in a selfish manner. It's really important that you put your own oxygen mask on first. Okay, they say this in the airports and the airplanes all of the time. So what we're going to focus on this week is really understanding the difference between prioritizing yourself and selfishness, identifying personal energy drains, almost like energy vampires. Also, we're going to learn how to set boundaries with time, with people, with all the things that we may be juggling on our plate, and creating a daily self habit, routine. What are some non-negotiables that we have to make sure that we incorporate? And then releasing guilt around saying no and taking time for ourselves to rest and to recover. So reframing self-care, really self-prioritization allows you to show up better for yourself, but then better for others. Because if we are not allowing ourselves to really rejuvenate, if we're not allowing ourselves to rebuild, then how are we going to be able to take care of others? So many of us may be women of a certain age, people of a certain age, and it's possible that you could be in the caregiver and the sandwich generation, in which you may be caring for those who are younger than you, your children, and you may be caring for your parents as well. So making sure that you take time for yourself, and that is not always the easiest thing to do, but making sure that you take time for yourself is something that is essential. Also, if you're someone who has a lot on your plate, you may be a CEO, a CFO, part of the C suite. You may have a lot of responsibility and you may have a very busy and hectic schedule. It is very important that you leave work at work and that you do take time to care for yourself. So, jumping into this, what does this look like? Self prioritization versus selfishness. Prioritize, Prioritizing what is important to you really honors your capacity and your limits, understanding what you can and cannot do. It also supports your long term well being because if you take care of yourself now, in the long term, you'll be much better for it. It also understanding what your core values are, what speaks to you, what is important to you, what are your no-goes, making sure that you prioritize yourself really ultimately aligns with your own personal values. Now, selfishness, this is you're only thinking about yourself or disregards others completely. By prioritizing yourself, you're not disregarding others. You're even thinking and considering others because you're, again, putting on your oxygen mask first. Selfishness acts without accountability. It means you're not thinking, you're not considering, you're not accountable to anyone else. Now, understanding in yoga, we always say you can't pour from an empty cup, and it's so true. Really, you should be able to fill yourself up to the point in which you're able to give from your overflow. So energy, it is a finite resource. It isn't something that you consistently have. Now, if you ever look at a 2-year-old or just children in general, it's like if I could bottle up that energy and sell it, I would be a billionaire. Yes, it seems like they have boundless energy. But in actuality, even they don't have boundless energy. Energy really impacts your physical health. Understanding if you didn't get a good night's rest, last night, you may feel sluggish and physically not able to move as well. Your mind may be foggy. Energy also impacts your emotional regulation. Have you ever been tired or irritated and you snap at someone, or you're very short or curt with someone? Energy is something that really impacts that, as well as your decision making. Energy impacts your ability to be able to make quick decisions, make smart decisions, make the decision to not eat the donut, because sometimes when we're eating comfort foods, it is a result of not having enough energy, that fatigue that sets in. So making sure that you fill up your cup so that way it overflows. Identify energy drains. That, remember I said those energy vampires. So common energy drains includes overcommitting, saying yes to every single thing, saying yes to multiple things you may not necessarily be able to say yes to, but you double book, you triple book. Again, a lack of rest. Making sure that you don't take time to rest is really not good. I know some people will say, "Oh, I'll just rest when I'm dead." Well, that will happen a lot faster if you don't make sure that you incorporate those times and those opportunities for you to rest. That doesn't always necessarily mean to sleep. Sleep is very important, but allowing yourself to maybe have 5 minutes in your car so you can listen to your favorite song, so you can finish listening to that NPR story. Maybe having 10, 15 minutes for yourself in the morning to set your day. An energy drain can also be unclear boundaries, allowing people to kind of tiptoe and tap dance and flip flop over that fence that you set. Now, are you enforcing that boundary? Are you enforcing that fence? If you don't, then it's almost like you can't necessarily be upset when someone crosses that boundary. It's very important that you set that boundary and that you're clear with it. And we will get into that. Emotional labor, making sure that you are regulating your emotions, making sure that you are not tiring yourself out, and then constant accessibility. Are you someone who always picks up your phone, always replies to every single text? You are on the group me's, on the chats, on the WhatsApp, or you're responding to your emails. Everyone can always get in contact with you, in touch with you with every single little thing. But then maybe you need to, reevaluate that, how accessible you are to people. In energy drain reflection, let's think for a second. Ask yourself, what leaves me feeling exhausted? When are you're most exhausted? It can be physical, but don't forget about the mental drains as well. Also think about what feels obligatory but misaligned. I have to do something, but it doesn't align with what it is that I want to do, with how it is that I want to live. And think about what drains me mentally or emotionally. We'll take a few minutes right now just to reflect on this. And if you have your handy dandy notebook, go ahead and jot some of these things down. You can also put them in the app as well. A few more moments just to reflect on these 3 questions. Okay, good. So boundaries. Boundaries support your wellness because they protect your time, they protect your energy, and they also protect your mental health. So Setting boundaries is extremely important because you really need to be able to almost like in the olden age and in which forts and they had the troughs and everything and they didn't allow people to come in because they wanted to protect the castle. You are your castle, you are your kingdom. So boundaries really allow you to protect all of these things, your time, your energy, and your mental health. So think about right now, how are your boundaries? They're proactive, they're not punitive, and they're not to keep people out per se. They're not to punish anyone, but they really are to protect yourself. So, types of boundaries, time, yes. Your schedule, sticking to your schedule and making sure that you aren't double booking, making sure that you are not triple booking, making sure that you are leaving some time for yourself to be able to relax, to be able to debrief, to be able to, take a woosah. It also allows you to control your availability, your accessibility to others as well. Now, people boundaries, understanding relationships and communication. Sometimes we have that a mother who may want to be in constant touch with us. She may want to know how the kids are, or may want to know what your relationship status is, if you're, what is going on, and or you may have friends or sisters, or you may have an ex-boyfriend who wants to still touch base and just come over to get a bowl of chili whenever he wants because he had that relationship with you. You may have a best friend who just wants to talk all of the time. So making sure you set boundaries and firm proper boundaries in your relationships and with your communication with others. Commitment boundaries. Are you someone who's on the church board? You may be part of a sorority. You may be on the board of Big Brothers Big Sisters. You may be on three different groups at your job because you don't know how to say no, because you may be worried about hurting others' feelings or being perceived as someone who doesn't help or someone who doesn't work hard. So your obligations, as well as your roles, really do have an impact on your own personal boundaries. So, boundary check. All right. Let's check in with ourselves and see where exactly do we need a boundary most right now? Is it our time? Is it people in our life? Or is it commitments? Perhaps it could be all three. Maybe all three could be blending in with each other. So take a few moments right now, and just for these three, think about your time, your people, your relationships with others, as well as all the things that you have, your commitments, everything that you're juggling, and determine where you need a boundary. A few moments for this. Few more seconds. Okay. So if this was difficult for you, it's fine. Setting boundaries isn't always easy. Saying no to people isn't always easy, but as you begin to practice it more, especially if you start small, setting little boundaries and then allowing those boundaries, allowing those fences, to grow, it can become a bit easier. So understanding our daily non-negotiables. What are some things that you may need to do that's going to help you to set your day, that's going to help to give you peace, that's going to help you to find tranquility, and really get back to you. Some of us lose ourselves. We lose ourselves in our job, in our title as a wife, and our title as a mom. We may lose ourselves in our friend group as, oh, but this is just the person who does XYZ. So, non negotiables are small actions that you commit to daily. Here's an example. Examples could be you go for a 10-minute walk every single morning. Some of us may have a little foo foo dog that we may walk, or a big, dog that we may walk. So maybe that time that you spend actually walking, power walking, not just letting the dog out in the backyard, but actually walking, taking that 10-minute walk for yourself to feel the cool air, to feel the breeze. Sometimes that may include stretching or breathing, allowing yourself to have a stretching or a yoga practice, to have a breathing practice, allowing yourself to feel your lungs and your diaphragm expand with breath, and then feel your lungs and your diaphragm deflate with breath. Maybe you want to be really intentional and purposeful with your breakfast, your first meal of the day, making sure it's a protein forward breakfast. If eating something heavy or something light is whatever your jam is, maybe you want to make sure that you have, your collagen and infused smoothie in the morning. But the fact that you have a routine, you have something that you're going to do every single day allows you to look forward to it. This becomes one of your daily habits, your daily rituals. Also, something could be a device-free wind down. You put your phone, you put your computer, all of your gadgets and gizmos, maybe even the TV, you turn it off. And maybe you just sit in silence. Perhaps for you, that could mean that you just sit with your favorite music. Maybe throw on, some nice cool jazz. Maybe listen to some Jill Scott. Or maybe you want to, have a little house party and, get down in your living room. Whatever works for you, whatever it is that is going to help you to find peace, to find your own rhythm and bring you joy. Whatever it is more so about consistency, not the intensity. You don't have to go hard for an hour of journaling every single day. Whatever it is that brings you peace, just stay consistent with it. So, why non negotiables matter? All right. You begin to build trust with yourself. Now, you may think I trust myself. I know what I do. I know who I am and how, but sometimes that little voice inside your head can allow yourself to really not speak so nicely. So, by having non negotiables, I'm going to do this for myself every single day, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, allows you to build trust, allows you to know that you have your own back and you can rely on yourself, allows you to have that intrinsic thought process instead of that extrinsic, externally looking for validation, looking for someone to support you. Having these daily non negotiables also reduces decision fatigue. Sometimes we may have to make so many different decisions about this and that, what I'm going to wear, what I'm going to cook for breakfast, for lunch, what I'm going to have for dinner for the rest of the week, what the kids are doing, what my husband is doing, what having this set routine will allow you to just know that it's there, to just know what you're supposed to do in the morning, in the evening, whatever speaks to you. And lastly, not lastly, but another point is that it helps to reinforce identity based habits. What speaks to you? What's your jam? What fills you up? So, coming back to week one, in which I did touch base on a little bit, setting your SMART goals, asked you to set 1 to 2 SMART goals. What is it? Who is it that you are going to be your best, healthiest version of yourself? Having these daily non negotiables are going to allow you to really tap into that, this best version of Bettina. So, discipline. Discipline is so important when we are incorporating our self care. So, self care is planned, is consistent, and it is preventative. All right. It isn't reward. Okay. I know in social media, we'll have, a woman in a bath with her hair tied up and, She's drinking a glass of wine or she's meditating, and that is great. But this is something that is planned and consistent. This isn't something that is a reward or is an option or it's only because of something. It's not that it's reactive, right? You don't have to earn it. It's not something that you need to do XYZ and then you're allowed to have a self care moment, a self care day. This is something that you deserve throughout just by being you, just by waking up and showing up and being yourself means that you deserve and you've already earned your self care. So make sure you put it into your schedule. Make sure you put it into, your daily routine. Now, how many of us do you feel guilty if we want to take a nap, if we want to sit for, by ourselves for a second, if we want to just relax and recover? But rest is very much needed. It's productive, it's necessary, and it's a part of the progress. So you can't keep going, going, going. You can't burn the candle at both ends because the candle's going to burn out a lot faster, and we definitely do not want to experience burnout. So what is it? What is it around, rest? What is it around our self-care, around putting on our own oxygen mask, around taking care of ourselves that makes us feel guilty? Why do you feel guilty about wanting to take care of yourself, about needing to take care of yourself? Some of us may think that rest equals laziness, that allowing ourselves to just relax and chill and have, maybe watch some smut TV, like you're just watching one of the reality shows and just zoning out. For some people, that could be their, self care. But some people think that, oh gosh, I could be doing so much more. While I'm watching TV, I should, be folding clothes and baking cookies and making sure I'm going through spreadsheets. And why? So just think about that, reflect on that for a moment. The big no or the little no. Saying no is self-respect. It is honoring your personal boundaries. It is putting your foot down, and it's a complete sentence. Okay, so saying no really does preserve your energy. It honors your priorities and it allows you to create space for what matters to you, for what's important to you, rather than saying yes to every single thing. Now, I know that a book came out not too long ago, The Year of Yes. But say yes to what actually matters to you, well, what actually is important, what actually speaks to you, and say no for things that don't serve you. They're going to cause you angst this, that feel misaligned. Okay, so you don't need to apologize for saying no. You just say no. Yes, it can be difficult to say no sometimes. So here's some ways in which you can say no, a compassionate boundary language. So I want you to practice this, at least one phrase this week. Okay, all right. So examples of saying no, or I don't have the capacity right now, or that doesn't align with my priorities. Or you can even say, I need to check my schedule before committing. Let me get back to you. That way you may not necessarily be saying completely no, but you are letting them know, all right, I'm creating a boundary. I'm giving myself some time, some space to reflect on whether or not I actually want to commit to XYZ, whether or not this is going to fulfill me, or whether or not it's actually just going to deplete my almost empty cup. So see if you can practice that one of these at least once this week. All right, now getting into our tracking. We really, really want you to stay consistent and show up in the app. So this week, I want you to track your daily non negotiables. All right. So maybe that means creating a mini goal for yourself. Every single day, I want to do what? Take 5 minutes to, allow your tea to fully steep. Note your energy levels. How are you feeling? How do you feel in the morning? in the afternoon, in the evening. And then I also want you to reflect on your boundary wins. Were you able to say no? Were you able to really put that action, to work? So tracking is really more about awareness. It's not about perfection. If you aren't able to get all of these things in, it's okay. You know, if you are, that's great. If you aren't, it's great as well, because we really want you to be knowledgeable about where you are in your wellness journey. Paying attention to the little things is what matters. All right, our action steps. Now we're continuing to build on from last week. Last week, I wanted you to create, just 1 to 2 SMART goals. This week, let's identify just 1 to 2 energy drains. If you have more, then okay, but at least one, maybe two. What are some energy drains that, that energy vampire that's just kind of, ugh. Also, see if you can set one boundary using those, maybe those 3 boundary verbiage sentences. This doesn't align with my values. Set one boundary this week and see if you can stick to it every single day. Choose 2 daily non-negotiables. They don't have to be big. They can be, I must pack my lunch every single day. I must make sure that I'm eating fruits and vegetables. I must make sure that I am drinking my water, that I am taking time for myself to, read my Bible. Whatever works for you. And then also make sure you track consistently in the app. Okay. We want you to track daily, and then make sure you bring all this information. It's going to be in the app, but make sure you bring your own personal notes as well when you meet with Coach Ray. So closing reflection, I'm going to ask you this each time. What does walking in your power mean to you right now? Understanding that we're setting our boundaries, understanding that we are showing up for ourselves and really prioritizing our self-care, understanding that we are saying no to things that don't fill our cup. What does walking in your power mean to you right now? All right, let's wrap this up. So, in this session, we cover behavioral prioritization as a health intervention. It's so important to put ourselves first because ultimately we're taking care of ourselves by taking care of our boundaries. We set some boundaries. We learned how we can do that, what verbiage we can use in order to set our boundaries, and understanding that it is a preventative health strategy by not allowing ourselves to become overwhelmed, to become stressed out, or to, really double book, triple book ourselves. We discuss energy management, which is tied to sustainability around burnout prevention, because it's very important that we are managing our energy. And also, we reframe self care as a discipline. It's not a luxury. Okay. It's very strong public health framing in terms of making sure that we are pouring into ourselves and putting our oxygen mask on first. Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. Be sure to track all of your information in the app and schedule your time to meet with Coach Ray. Again, my name is Bettina Lee, and I'm so thrilled to be working with you all. Have a great day, and we'll touch base next week.